Lydia, what's good?
Hey, how are
it
you? How you feeling?
is. I'm amazing. I'm amazing. Thank you so much. This is an exciting time for the whole OSG family. I'm so looking forward to tonight. This is that time. That transformation takes place, and so I'm really looking forward to tonight and leading up to the conference as well. How about yourself? How you doing today?
Agreed. I mean, I'm super hyped and I feel so honored to even be a part. I'm excited to be a part of this conversation tonight. We're going to get into some of the nitty gritty, our facilitators and speakers. But before we do that, I just want to hear from you, like as the founder, just share with us, like, what's the vision? We go from live streams during COVID to
Yeah.
Teach Jam to, feeding dealing with food insecurities in the works, and now a conference at Columbia University, of all
Wow.
places that you could be. Like,
Wow.
tell us, like, such a huge undertaking. What are you thinking?
Wow. Well, listen, Lydia. First of all, I know this is truly an honor to be able to do such a conference in our home city of New York, as well as the amazing spot called Columbia University. And so, a couple of months ago, our sister, Dr. Sheena Baez, who I taught at Columbia with this past summer, came up with this amazing idea. Like, I'm not even going to front. I ain't going to take no credit for being the brainchild of this. She says, you know what? I think we should do a leadership conference here at Columbia University. And from there, it was born. And when I keep thinking about, well, what's the purpose? Why do we do what we do in OSG, off school grounds? Why do we do what we do? What every single day as school leaders, community leaders? And I keep thinking, you know what? We do have the answer, and it's simple. Basically, we're going to try to empower all educators and community leaders with the skills and knowledge necessary to drive the transformative change in most of our communities, not only in New York, but across the country. And we're going to deal with the equity issues. We're going to deal with excellence. We're going to deal with ways in which we can make our children lifelong learners. And so I'm so excited about it
So
because
dope.
what's what's so key is that the message is almost the same here as it is in Compton, as it is in Newark, as it is in Chicago, about the need for us to start to empower our community, our school community, as well as our children and their families.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. And I mean, man, I just gotta soak that in because I think, the message and the vision is huge, but the why is even larger. Like, so powerful,
Yeah.
so powerful. So
And we see, Lydia, we see how important it is. Again, off school grounds is just more than just more than just a name of our organization and our family. It's really when we are talking about transforming communities and we're talking about transforming schools, we got to look off school grounds. We got to really understand that there are issues that are plaguing our community that we got to deal with and that we got to talk about. And so I'm really excited about our two guests tonight, and I know that these are people who are living this off school grounds mantra every single day.
absolutely, absolutely. So I mean, without any further ado, we've got Dr. Asia Johnson in the building, and
Philly's finest, Philly's finest.
Dr.
There she is.
Anissa Reilly
Uh-oh,
in the
BX, the
building.
BX, the BX is in the building. What's up, y'all?
How you
Nothing
doing,
much.
family?
What's up? What's up?
Hey
Um,
guys.
Hey, hey.
listen. I'm so excited to see you two here, but I'm even more excited about what you're going to talk about on March 17th and 18th at Columbia University at OSG's first ever leadership conference. And so I'm gonna can I just jump in here, Lydia? And let me just
Get in
I just
there.
need to add. Let me ask Dr. Johnson a question. Talk. You and I spent some time together at your school, and I've always heard you talk about these three C's, right?
Mhm.
The OSG family may be familiar with the three C's, but let us our audience know about the three C's that represent what you do in the community.
Well, I'm Dr. Asia Johnson, the legendary principal of the South Bronx, Philly native, Philly John, young John. Uh, so I'm telling you, when it comes to creating a culturally responsive school, you have to have the three C's, right? It has to be about collaboration, culture, and community. If you don't have those three things in your school is not where you want kids to go, right? And it's more than just being able to rap or be culturally responsive in the classroom as it pertains to picking up a microphone and trying to make things rhyme. It's well beyond that. It's about how you make kids feel when they walk inside the door. It's how you communicate and interact with them. It's about how do you bring that sense of community in your school. If anyone knows anything about collectivism and that sense of us all coming together, that speech about I am because we are, those are important factors that kids need to feel the moment that they walk into the door. And that's not just kids. The teachers have to feel that as well. They have to see a sense of themselves inside and outside of the classroom in order to feel that connectiveness to the school. And so you'll get to learn from me, a legendary leader. You'll hear me spit some facts about some data, some where we came from, and how I know this system has truly worked for us. I mean, coming in the Bronx, you know anything about the Bronx, poorest congressional district in the nation, but there are strides that we're making every single day. And in order for us to be culturally responsive, you have to have these 3 C's. So I can't wait to see you guys at my session so that you can learn a little bit more about, you know, how this Philly girl came and turned the Bronx out and turned the Bronx around. So I look forward to seeing you all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
I mean, real. And I know you've
That's
been in
how,
the building,
listen,
Dennis.
that-
Like
I was saying, that's
I've
how
been in
you
the
do it.
building.
Exactly.
Right.
That's how you doing it right off the rip, just like that, right?
That's it. Listen, I mean, there's a lot of great people that are speaking at the same time, but I mean, I'm saying I'm there. So make sure you come through 2:30 on Saturday. Come to my session so you can learn about how you can be legendary too.
Absolutely. And listen, Lydia, before I pass it back over to you so you can talk to Dr. Reilly, I also want to remind people that this OSG conference is not going to be it's not going to be stuffy. It ain't going to be one of them places where you just come and you just write in your notepad and that's it about what's going on. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure to have a great time. We're going to party. We're going to have a good time. We're going to laugh. We're going to joke. We're going to cry. But we're most certainly going to give you all an experience like you've never had before. And I can promise you that, because ain't nothing that we do that isn't a different breed in that sense. So I think we're going to definitely do something a little different, Asia. And so I know one of the things that everybody can go back and look. I think I posted a couple of days ago, you know, you spitting some lyrics. I actually passed that video over to Freeway Philly. I passed that. I sent the video to Freeway and he says, yo, he got to meet you in person. So I'm most certainly looking forward to not only getting schooled and getting all the knowledge that you have, but I'm also looking to see the Dr. Johnson that has a good time with her students and with her colleagues. So I'm looking forward to that.
Man, I missed the video clip.
Oh, you missed
it. I'm gonna need you to text that on the side right quick. Wow. I'm super excited. And I mean, Dr. Reilly, I mean, talk to us a little bit about your session. And I hear you talk about, you know, in your sessions, I've had the opportunity to experience you outside of the conference space, and you talk about, you know, triumph and trauma. And I know that that's, you know, that your session is actually entitled Triumph and Trauma. And you talk a lot about the fact that, like, we know the stress is there. So, like, what are we going to do about the stress? Like, how are we well in our minds and spirits and in our bodies? So just tell us a little bit about what that really looks like in practice, and just how that informed the work that you've been able to do as a transformative leader.
Yeah, so my name is Dr. Anissa Reilly in OSG land. I'm Dr. Action. I'm about that action and those results.
You already know.
Yeah, so as leaders, sometimes we don't even realize how much stress we endure, how much stress our body absorbs. We may say, you know, I don't get stressed, but you may not physically see it, but your body is absorbing it. And we have to learn as leaders how to leverage the stress for our benefit so that it doesn't do damage and harm. I've known too many leaders who have died on the job, died as a result of the job, who have lost marriages because of the work. Because as educational leaders, school leaders, we're putting so much into our school communities because we love our babies. We love the community, and we understand that education is their golden ticket. Education is the key, and we want to make sure that we're setting it up properly for them so they can have options. And as a result, we sometimes give so much of ourselves that we forget that stress is just eating us away. And so in my session, I'm going to teach you some ways in which to leverage it so it becomes your ally and not your foe. I'm going to teach you some ways that it doesn't damage your brain, but when you feel that rush of cortisol, that you know exactly what to do in order to combat it with endorphins. Because your brain is very important. And the more that you can take care of it, the better you are as a leader. We talk about, you know, exercising and self-care, but rarely do we talk about brain care. And so that's what I'll be teaching in my session on Friday, March 17th at 1:30 p.m. And so if you are interested in learning how to make sure that you can leverage stress for your benefit, then come see me. I'm into brain science, neuroscience, and so I got a little trick up my sleeve that'll help you take care of that muscle up here that take care of everything else. So that's what I'm gonna be doing.
Wow. That's how we okay. All right. Okay. All right. So listen. So I now that we got that out of the way, I want to get to some real questions. I want to get to some real questions that Lydia and I have. And I'm gonna start with you, Dr. Johnson. You from Philly, right? And when I think people think Philly, they think Philadelphia, they think about Pennsylvania, but they don't really think about the part of Philly that you from. I just need you to just mention to the people real quick what qualifies you to have this conversation about culturally responsive school community, especially for when you come from in that part of Philly.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm from North Philly, the one of the roughest, toughest parts of North Philly. I mean, some people might disagree. They might say it's South Philly, but you know, they got cheesesteaks, so I think they're a little soft down there. Um, but you know, it's hard. If you look at the block where I grew up, it was a house, a shell, a house, a shell, and then the rest of the block was empty, right? Because you know, back in the 80s, growing up, there was houses that would just get knocked down and then they were never replaced. The house that I grew up in, same house, same block, still no houses have been built around there. And so when we talk about power and we talk about poverty and some of the challenges that exist in our city, I mean, it's still there, right? I taught in Philly before I moved to New York, and it was the same thing. I taught in the Badlands, you know. So when they told me, like, yeah, your teaching assignment is in the Badlands, and I was like, in North Philly, that's where you want me to teach? And I'm from North Philly, you know. And so a part of that is like, how do you transform a school community? And I had parents crying when I was leaving. I was like, look, I'm moving to New York. I'm not going to be here next year. I had parents crying because they never seen a teacher like me. Right. And so when you have those relationships with parents and you cultivate those talents that exist in kids, and you can be a kid from the hood and show them like, no, I am what's possible, then you start to change the mindset of everybody in that community. And so, you know, North Philly is just very similar to the Bronx, right? Very, very similar to the Bronx. And that's why the Bronx is so near and dear. The South Bronx is so near and dear to my heart, because I see those kids in me. They were me. And if I don't give them the opportunities that I wasn't given as a kid, Lord knows where those kids would be.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna steal the show, Lydia, if you don't jump in.
I gotta jump in though on that.
I'm excited.
I gotta jump in on that, especially because I dare to say that as a transformative leader, right? Myself, even as a New York City DOE vendor, the charge that's even on myself, because I'm also the product of New York City Public Schools, Queens South High Schools to be exact. And I was that kid, you know, I tell the story all the time. I was the abstract child in kindergarten. The teacher's like, it's a square. Lydia's got her hand up. Miss, that's a diamond. And let us home in a notebook every single day. There was no space for a kid like me. So my mom had to almost curate that. But thankfully, she had the tools to do that. What happens to the kid every day who does not have that at home? You know what I mean? You going home to a, you know what? You know what I'm saying? If you can't pull it together. So, I mean, the charge on us as transformative leaders, not just as teachers, not just as principals, as vendors, anyone who champions a child and comes in contact with these young people, you know, I give back, and I'm teaching now because I'm like, I got to give them what I received. And to be honest with you, if there was no CTE, which back then when I graduated 20 years ago, it was technical vocational high school, I wouldn't have graduated, because like literally in a gen ed setting, I failed every single class in 10th grade. But the minute I got into an environment that I was able to be cultivated and honed in on by educators who actually gave a crap, or who knew or understood who the type of child I was, I mean, it was a game changer. So I salute you, Dr. Johnson, as a CTE principal because it's near and dear to my heart, but it also, what you said, it just resonated as a kid from this city, you know, who's also a byproduct of this system. The charge is on me too. I too am a transformative leader, and I just realized that. It's like I had a aha moment. So that was thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
Well, you know what, again, that transformative leadership, you know, again, I want us to know that we're not only welcoming, you know, principals and superintendents and teachers, we're also, listen, you're a community leader. I don't even care if you're a pastor and you are really about transforming the community, we welcome you to our very first annual, you know, leadership conference at Columbia University. So while I did now transition into the church, let's talk to Dr. Reilly for a minute. Let's talk to Dr. Reilly for a minute, because there's been a lot of transformation in your life. I've known you for over 10 years, and the transformation in your life and in your leadership has been so apparent to me. So talk to us. You know, what was it like to be a principal as well as being a minister, talking, preaching the word of God at the same time, covering your young people in prayer every day. Talk to us about how the impact of just, you know, being part of, you know, the church, and how that has helped you in your transformation as a leader.
So first I want to say, when you said was a principal, I was like, oh yeah, like for 17 years I was a principal, and now I'm no longer in that role. And it's interesting that when you equate who you are or what you do with the job that you have, it's interesting when you step away from it and then you really realize, are you truly what are you truly, like, at the core of it all? And nevertheless, what I realized is that I'm still a leader. You know, I was a leader when I was 5 years old in my kindergarten classroom, and my teacher would tell me, you know, stop talking. You talk too much, right?
Talk about it, sis.
Right. And no matter where my teacher changed my seat, whether it was in kindergarten, fourth grade, high school, middle school, I talked to everybody because I was a leader. And I used to tell my teacher, no matter where you put me, I'm still going to talk, right? And so understanding that gifting that I had, that was a gift that God put in me, to talk, to use my words, to use my voice, was extremely important. And as I became a leader, and you hear, you know, be quiet, you know, don't say that, it's traumatic and it does something to you. And so when I got into the space of listening to those words on the outside, the only thing that I could do was to go on the inside and pray and ask God to assist and help. In order to be in this leadership game, you got to be grounded. You have to have something that anchors your soul, that you are tethered to spiritually, because the wind will blow and will knock your behind over. And the answer to my prayer, as you know, as I've always said, Dr. McKeezy, he answered it in the form of you, a coach. All right. So you need someone to help you transform. So although I was in this cocoon of depression and trauma, because not only was I in a community, leading in a community that was layered with trauma, what was happening to me was traumatic. And so when God answered the prayer and sent Dr. McKeezy into my life and helped to transform, bring me out, remind me of my dopeness. I always say I'm dope. I always say I'm dope now. I knew it before, but you know, I had a moment where I didn't know. But through prayer and God sending Dennis into my life as a coach, I remembered and continue to live in my dopeness. And for those of you who like, what do you mean by dope? Right? I'm good at what I do. I'm real good.
Talk that, Dr. Robin. Talk that.
Right.
So it's too long to say I'm real good at what I do. It's just easy to go, I'm dope.
Dope.
I'm real dope.
It must be a Bronx thing, because we know how you feel about Dr. Johnson, and you know her dopeness shines through as well over there along with prep.
Yes. So I was born and raised in the Bronx. So I understand all of that. And if, like Dr. J said, she can make it out of North Philly and I can make it out of Bronx, we all can do it. And that's what this is about. So transforming communities, transforming babies' lives, transforming adults, just transforming it all. So we're using our ability to transform, our transformative skills that have led us to this conversation today, and then to Columbia's stage, is what we're offering. And
Yeah, did y'all stop to think yet, all three of you, have you stopped to think of the impact that we must have had for Columbia University to open their doors for us to have a 2-day conference at their facility? Have you all stopped for a moment to just think about that and how big of a situation that is?
So I was confused at first. I was like, the conference is happening where? Like not at McGregor's, of all the places that we could go, Teachers College, like, and I've actually interviewed in that space. So I have like been in that space, like in a seat, right? I've attended workshops and events there as a student, and then I've actually interviewed there as well. And I definitely felt like I didn't, like I took up too much space there. I felt like there wasn't, I don't know, just the zhuzh wasn't zhuzhing, like, you know what I mean? Like it just wasn't. So I was very confused when I was told what the location was, but I think I'm floored, and I think it's, to say the least, going to be monumentous and definitely record breaking. I mean, of course, we expect every seat to be so, but I'm telling you, if there was only one person there, it would be powerful that we even, took up space on their, in their marketing of their team. Like, I mean, this is big. This is big. This is big.
Wow. Go ahead, Dr. J. What is it like? I mean, again, you a Dell State, you rep Dell State hard. We know you, but what is this like though? What is this like?
Listen, I'm HBCU to the core, right? I love me some Delaware State University. Shout out to my Hornets. That was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life, was going to a Black college. But when I say that, I have been saying, like, I can't imagine that I'm actually going to be a speaker at having my own session at Columbia University. I'm like, this little girl from North Philly who, just like Dr. Action, was told it by every report card conference, she talks too much. That's her problem. She talks too much. That's her problem. And for someone to say in a meeting, hey, like, do you want to write this down? I said, no, honey, I talk a lot and I show a lot. So when we talk about transformational leadership and what you're going to see, you're not going to have a 50-minute session with me sitting and talking. Oh, we're active. We're getting active. Because in order for you to be able to learn and want to hear more about what I do, it's going to take me more than 50 minutes to be able to show you. Right. And so when we're at Columbia, just know this is one of many. So when I do my postings on social media, you will notice mine says first annual, because I intend to be back next year and the year after that and the year after that, until one day I ain't going to have a session. I'm going to be a keynote. Put that
there you go. Talk that, Dr. Johnson. What's up, Dr. Reilly? Dr. Reilly, Columbia University. We're going to Columbia University. Not for our first one. Most people don't go there to maybe 10 years down the road. Our very first one is in the halls of Columbia, throughout the halls of Columbia University.
So I have a little, secret fact that I had an opportunity to speak on the stage at Corwin Hall a couple of years ago. And me speaking on the stage in Corwin Hall was monumentous in itself. It is very overwhelming, right? You stand there in the lights and you're in Columbia University, one of the oldest institutions in America. But not only that, I would go by there mostly every day, as I had to go to school. I went to school right there on 135th Street. And so we would play in the area, 110th Street and up on Amsterdam Avenue. You know how teenagers do, you don't always come straight home from school, but you mess around. And so I was very aware of Columbia. And I used to live on 123rd Street in Morningside, so I could pass it and go through and cut through the campus. So, there were kids who cut through the campus, and I was one of those kids who cut through that campus. Yes, I went to an HBCU too, Morgan State University, go Bears. But I knew Columbia because I grew up around there. I used to, like I said, live on 123rd Street before we migrated back to the Bronx. But that has always been something that has been a fabric of who I was and in my psyche and knew. And so being able to go back there now and have a session is amazing. And to see your name, on a session, it's like seeing your name on the
name and lights.
On the right, in your name and lights, or having a star on the whole Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's what it feels like. And for people to say, you speaking where, you're doing what? And it's funny, they go, Columbia. I want to say, is there another Columbia? Do you know another Columbia University in New York? Because if there is, please let me know. Because when I say Columbia University, yes, I mean the prestigious Columbia University. Okay, so
yes, ma'am.
It's special.
That right there in itself is special. No cap, isn't that what they said? No cap.
No cap.
Right.
No question.
Right.
And you know what, Dr. Reilly and Lydia and Dr. Johnson, one of the things that I like to tell people is I started off my career as a school aide. And where did I do it? Right down in Harlem, right down on 120th Street, right on the other side of Harlem. Then I went and taught in the Bronx, came back to Harlem, and I became a teacher at that same school on 120th Street between Manhattan and Morningside, right on the other side of Columbia University. Then I actually went and taught I actually became an assistant principal on the east side of Harlem, and then came back and became a principal in Harlem. And so when I say that Harlem has a special place in my heart, and that Columbia University plays, a really, a very strong role in my life, I can tell you, I've driven past there 1,000 times and didn't know that one day I would be there, not only as a professor, but as a CEO of an organization of amazing leaders that really are going to tear that campus up on March the 17th and 18th. And so I'm really excited about that part, because I can, it's one thing to see it from afar, and it's another thing to step foot in there and really make the type of transformation that I know we're going to make. So it's a real emotional time for me, man, just to know that I drove past there a lot, and I always thought to myself that one day, I just didn't know how, and here it is, that I'm bringing not only myself, but I'm bringing my whole OSG family with me to this conference, and it's going to be dope. I cannot wait.
Well,
I'm gonna speak for everyone and say I hope you absorb this emotional time. Like, I hope you really sit in it. Like, don't busy yourself, right? The team got you. Sit in that.
Yeah, that's dope. Like I said,
just
like
wanted
everybody
to
talks
add
about being a
something.
principal, I was a school leader right there in Harlem, right there on 134th Street, and I was also a principal on 125th Street between, Madison and Park. So it's just so, it means a lot to me. It really and truly means a lot to me to go back home. Harlem is home, and Columbia University is the first stop of many for this OSG family.
Can I just
Dr.
add
Reilly?
Yeah, I just want to add one thing.
Jump in.
Yeah, so, Dr. J said she's going to come back as a keynote. Since we the first ones out the gate, just be sure, Dr. J, me and you will be the first keynotes out the gate.
That's right.
They declared it.
Session leaders to keynote speakers.
They call shotgun.
Yes, the one to punch.
And I
started from the session. Now we here.
And I too started my career in New York in a charter school in Harlem. Right, that's how I started. So I did
circle.
That.
This is full circle.
Full circle, right on 126 between 7th and 8th. That's where I started. I was there for 4 years, went to the DOE, got called back to go to that same school to be the principal there. So the commitment is there. The realness is there. I'm excited. I can't wait for you guys to get to learn from all of us, because I hope somebody is taping, because there's so many sessions that's happening at my session. I'm like, how I'm going to do this? Because I actually want to go to their session too. So it's so much. So I can't wait to see you all there. It's going to be an amazing time. We're going to learn so much from each other every year. This is just the first annual. Next year, we're going to do it again and do it again and do it again.
And one more thing, Lydia and Dr. Reilly and Dr. Johnson, wherever have you ever seen the current chancellor and the former chancellor in the same building for the same conference? Come on, when you got Chancellor Banks on Friday opening us up, and then we got Dr. Misha Porter closing us on Saturday, you can just imagine what's going to be inside of Columbia University, inside of those bookends, which are two amazing, not only educational leaders, but Black educational leaders. So I'm so excited about those two in particular, because you ain't never gonna see that again. You don't see that often, So that, as Denise just said, it's epic to have both former as well as current chancellors in the same conference. So that's gonna be dope. So, Dr. Baez, I know you're on here, Dr. Baez. Thank you so much for your vision for this. Thank you for entrusting us all as OSG family to carry this thing out. And we promise that this is going to be something they're going to talk about for a long time.
All right, family. Until next time, secure your seats. You don't want to miss out. All right, y'all. We out.
We out, y'all.